eggs, Paprikash, Hungarian style breakfast today on the Spicerer's table. Edit it out, there we go. Welcome back to the Spicerer's table and our Hungarian inspired breakfast. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our Paprikash mixture. And first thing we're going to talk about is our spices, which I have here. This is our spice mixture. It's 2 small bay leaves, half a teaspoon of thyme leaves, dry, half a teaspoon of dill seeds, and half a teaspoon of caraway seeds. If you don't have dill seeds, you can use all caraway seeds. You could use all dill seeds, just use a teaspoon of either or a half teaspoon of each. And I have ground that in my spice grinder. We're going to take a half teaspoon of our spice mixture. Actually going to be taking a 1/4 teaspoon of it and place it in a little container. This is going to be reserved for scenting our eggs, and the rest is going to go on our Paprikash mixture. And here I have 2 heaped teaspoons of sweet paprika and 1 heaped teaspoon of hot paprika. This is the real imported Hungarian paprika, which is important in this recipe. And we're going to mix that together. If you don't like spicy, you can use all sweet paprika and use 1 heaped tablespoon of sweet paprika. If you love hot food, you could do all hot paprika and do a heaped tablespoon. But you could also go a half and half, which means you'd use a heaped teaspoon and a heaped half teaspoon of paprika sweet, and a heaped teaspoon and a heaped half teaspoon of hot paprika. So you can go any way you want. It's just the total amount is a tablespoon. And we're going to take a half teaspoon of this, add it to our reserved spice mixture, and this we're going to use later to scent our eggs. The rest of our spice mixture we're going to use at different times. We're going to start with our pan here. And the first bit of aromatics that we're going to talk about here is we're going to use onion. I have 1/2 of an onion that's been cut up fine. This is a yellow pepper. In a Mexican market, it would be chile güero. You can also use Hungarian wax pepper, which you can also find in a Mexican market. They're going to be a bit spicier. This one has a bit of spice too. If you don't like any of these types of peppers, you can always use half a small green bell pepper, or a small Cubanelle pepper would be fine. But these have more spiciness and are going to be more akin to what you would find in Hungary. I've also got 2 large cloves of garlic that have been minced. We're also going to put in some chopped tomato. I've got 2 tomatoes chopped. And then I have about 1/2 cup of tomato juice, as well as water. We're going to put a little water in this as well. We're going to use salt and pepper. And we're going to finish with some chives and some parsley at the end. And at the end, we're going to deal with eggs. We're going to start with our Paprikash mixture, which means we're going to heat up our pan hot. And we're going to preheat it with 2 tablespoons of chicken fat. We're using chicken fat, but you could technically cook this in any rendered fat you like, or use clarified butter. It would be fine. And you're going to see it rippling, which is what you want to see. And we're just going to slide in our onion first, because the onion has to cook the longest. And also at this point we're going to add our spice mixture, just not the paprika at this point. And now I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And I'm using a small saute pan here. We're going to use a larger one to cook our eggs, which we're going to scramble, and then add our paprikash mixture. At this point, while this cooks, we will put just a pinch of salt in here. Not going to add any pepper yet. Just let it cook. I want the onions to become tender and the spice mixture to be really fragrant. To help this along, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of water in here, in which we're going to cook the water out. What the water is going to do is going to help soften the onions, and we can turn up the heat. And when all the water is gone, the onions will be tender and we'll be able to proceed. Very important, if doing this, helping with the water, you need to cook out all the water, because this paprika needs to bloom in the hot fat. Because you don't want any water or else it's not going to bloom. It's the same when you're doing Indian cuisine. You can use water to help cook your aromatics. But you need to cook until, in what Major Joffrey says, the oil separates out, which is a very important step. When you're sauteing mushrooms, it's the same way. You can add a little water to help them along, helps the juices come out, but make sure you cook it until all the fat comes out of the mushrooms. Okay. Smells lovely. And we're almost there. Here. Now we're going to put in our pepper and our yellow pepper and our garlic. Give it a good stir. And I'm going to turn this down because we're going to put in our paprika, and we don't want our paprika to burn. Now we're going to stir. Important here to get the paprika in contact with the fat in the pan. And this is just going to cook for a minute to roast the spices and the paprika together. It's not a necessity to cook out the pepper is going to cook with everything. It will cook out completely through its 25 to 30 minute cook time, which we're going to simmer this mixture. Okay. Going to up the heat, and I'm going to add our chopped tomatoes. I'm going to again add salt at this point. Give it a good stir. Add our tomato juice in here, which is going to be our liquid. I like the tomato juice, it gives some acidity in here. Okay. And then water. Maybe about half a cup or so. Now this mixture has now come to the boil. We're going to drop it down to a simmer. And I'm going to put this on the stove in the back there and let it simmer. And let it go for 25-30 minutes. Welcome back to the Spicerer's table and our eggs Paprikash we are making today. And what I have here is my Beautiful mixture. It is almost done. As you can see, it is cooked down. I'm going to turn up the heat so that it can cook, the liquid can reduce just a little bit more in its last few minutes of cooking. We're also going to taste it at this point. Salt, but it is delicious. Some black pepper. And I have a trivet over here, which we're going to use. Okay. Taste it once more. It's delicious. We're not going to end up using all of this in our eggs today, so this can be saved and can be used on rice, used to sauce chicken, lots of different things you could do with it. Use it as an interesting pizza sauce for vegetable pizza. Okay. I'm going to turn this off now. As you can see here, this is what you want. It's a nice chunky sauce consistency, which we're going to set over here on our trivet. I'm going to burn her out of the way. We're going to start with eggs. 8 eggs. These are jumbo eggs. If you're using large eggs, I go with 10 eggs. We're going to beat these eggs until they are homogenized, but you don't want to overbeat them. To these eggs, we're going to add black pepper, and at the moment, that's it. We're going to put salt in these eggs when they are in the pan and not before. I'm going to slide the whisk out here. And we're going to slide our burner back on and get our large saute pan out here. And the right tool for the job, which is a silicone spatula here for doing our scrambled eggs. Get rid of that. And we're going to heat it up on lower heat, and I'm going to put 2 more tablespoons of chicken fat. Matter of fact, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons in here. I'm going to put just another half tablespoon in here. It's going to add a wonderful flavor to this. And right here, this is our reserved spice mixture. We're just going to sprinkle it over the top. It's going to give the eggs color and scent the eggs, as you can see here. We're going to let it heat up until the oil shimmers. And then we're going to do beautiful, slow scrambled eggs. Got a platter behind me here, ready to go. Turn off the timer. We're going to carefully scramble these eggs. We're going to add them in here now. You won't hear a sizzle when you do this, but that's important. We're going to turn up the heat a little bit, but they should not sizzle as they go in. Okay? I'm going to go down and turn the heat up just a little bit. And then we're just going to start working the eggs. And just continue to stir. Because the goal here is we want nice fluffy eggs. You're not constantly stirring, you're just moving from the bottom. Just continue to stir. I'm going to grab a second trivet here so that we can pull these eggs off before they are fully cooked. These eggs will become fully cooked. If we leave them in the pan, they will be overcooked. You want slow curd formation here. Up the heat just a little bit. But it should be a slow process because we want nice large curds in which we can fold our beautiful Paprikash mixture into. If you had a non-stick saute pan, you could use that to do this, and cleanup would be a little easier, but this is your best bet for doing lots of scrambled eggs because it's heavy and it makes cooking them very easy because they finish off the heat. When you do normal scrambled eggs, you'll finish them off the heat with butter or cream or a spoonful of sour cream or creme fraiche or what have you, or a spoonful of herbed goat cheese. So, some recipes for scrambled eggs done in the pan like this call for using a whisk, but you get very tiny curds. For this recipe, we're doing it this way. You can also use a tool like this if you want, but this gets better into the corners of the pan here. And now that I'm seeing a lot of curd formation here, it is now when I'm going to season my eggs. We did not season our eggs beforehand because we do not want to toughen the eggs. Though you could, if you were worried about them becoming seasoned, you could add the salt right before you poured them into the pan. But I think it's better to season them during the cooking process. You can stir in the other flavorings, which was the black pepper that we stirred in, or if you're going to make scrambled eggs with Fiend's herb, you could stir the Fiend's herb in beforehand. You want big curds, let it set up a little bit. We got some herbage that we're going to put in here. Okay. You want these eggs to remain soft, so you're going to pull them off way before you think they are done. Because this pan is heavy enough to where there's enough heat in this pan to finish the cooking process. If you think it's going too fast, then pull it off before. If you need to throw it back on after you pulled it off, that is fine too, if you pulled it off too soon. But as you can see here, it's starting to look good. I'm going to taste it for salt. Needs a little more, not much, because we are going to add our Paprikash mixture in here. And now, this is what you want to see. We're going to let it go to another minute, and then we're going to pull it off. Half a minute, actually. Now we're going to pull it off. I'm going to turn off the heat. These eggs are soft. Let's pull our burner out of the way here. Slide our trivet into the center. Now we're going to halt the process further by introducing our Paprikash mixture. We're going to start with 3 spoonfuls. You can always add more. You can always put a little on for garnish. And now carefully, we're going to fold. You want to be able to see the orange yellow eggs, and beautiful. That is what we like to see. It's still soft. Now we're going to add herbs. We're going to put in chives. A hefty dose of chives in here. We're going to leave a little for garnish. We're also going to put a little parsley in here as well. Leave a little for garnish. Okay. Slide it out of the way here. Now we're going to take our beautiful platter here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of the Paprikash mixture on the bottom of our platter. Just a little bit as a bed for our eggs here. And next we will slide our beautiful eggs out of the pan, right into the center. Next we'll take our last little bit of chopped parsley, because I think herbs are very important here. This will serve 2 to 4 people depending on hunger. 3 hungry people would be lovely. This would be lovely for them. Okay. Now to gild the lily here, because Paprikash always has sour cream in it, or on top, we're going to take some and we're going to drizzle some sour cream that I just thinned ever so slightly with a little milk. If you don't want to have sour cream here, you could eliminate sour cream here. But it's just going to add that rich, tangy flavor. You could also put it in a squeeze bottle and dose it out that way, would be fine. I think that looks fine. And that's your beautiful eggs, and when we come back, I will show you what to serve with these eggs when we come back. Welcome back to the Spicerer's table. And you can't see me, but you can see our beautiful spread today. And this is our eggs Paprikash that we made today. We took a classic Hungarian recipe and turned it into a breakfast dish, egg dish, beautiful. And what we're serving it with today is I made some Hungarian potato pancakes. Beautiful potato pancakes. And you can't have breakfast without beautiful bread, and I chose here, this is langos. This is Hungarian potato fried bread. It's beautiful. It's been fried and dusted with coarse gray sea salt and sour cream on the side if anybody likes, and you can also serve extra of your Paprikash mixture if somebody wants extra on their plate. It's beautiful presentation. Lovely breakfast. And so until then, see you the next time. Enjoy. And on the next episode, we will be tackling Indian curry. We'll take that on next time. Till I see you again. Hey. Did it work? No, it didn't. It's not. Yeah, it did.